What is up, everyone? Good evening. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. Tonight, it is Thursday evening, January 19th. We have the Divisional Round playoffs football going on this weekend in the NFL. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to hop around. I'm going to pull up a screen share first of all, but we're going to look at each game individually. I'm going to open them up on DraftKings Sportsbook, and we'll kind of cover some of the props and the things that I'm noticing here, and we'll kind of just basically preview each upcoming game. So the first game on the list is going to be Jacksonville at Kansas City. Kansas City favored to win by 8.5 points, 53 over under total implied in this one. And if we go over to here, thefantasyfellowship.com. Essentially, they're saying Kansas City 30.75 to Jacksonville's 22.25. So, interestingly enough, they have Jacksonville losing, but they're the highest scoring loser of the weekend here. And again, at 53 points, this should be a lot of fun. And we got Porsche hanging out with us saying, "Go Cowboys!" That we're going to get to that game. I think that's the last game we're going to get into. That is the Sunday cap. But for now, we're going to hop into the Jags and the Kansas City Chiefs. These teams played earlier this year. I'm going to type in Jags Chiefs 2022. Let's pull open this box score here. It looks like Kansas City won 27-17. This again was in Kansas City at the time. Jacksonville 3-7 at the time. So we're not playing how they're playing now. And you see Trevor Lawrence, 260 yards almost, 2 touchdowns. ETN 45 yards. Not really a lot of success on the ground rushing here. Christian Kirk had a huge game, though. 9 for 105 and 2. Zay Jones, 8 for 68. Marvin Jones, ineffective. Nothing really out of Evan Ingram either. So maybe there's some more on the plate here for the Jags offense. And then on the Chiefs side, you see Mahomes went nuts. 4 touchdowns, 331. Pacheco put up 82 yards on the ground. Mahomes even ran for 39. Kadarius Toney got involved in this one. And then you do have Kelsey catching a touchdown, Toney catching a touchdown, MVS catching a touchdown. Just a lot of big plays here. So we do expect Kansas City's offense to have fun. Let's look at the touchdown scores here. They have Travis Kelsey as minus 150 to score, so I think that's definitely in play. You also probably gotta like Jerick McKinnon to score. He's been on a touchdown streak. Can't remember if he scored week 18 or not, but the dude's been scoring touchdowns left and right. So these are probably the top 2 likely Chiefs to score. Pacheco, interesting guy. I might be more interested in his other props, but for the Chiefs, you definitely like Kelsey McKinnon. You got to think if they're going to score 30.75 points, they're scoring 3 touchdowns in this game. So Kelsey McKinnon, they do have Pacheco here, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Juju or Toney or MBS. So to me, I'm going to stick with Kelsey and McKinnon as the top 2 touchdown scorers for the Chiefs. On the Jags side, the Chiefs are among the teams that are left in the playoffs. The Chiefs are the worst team allowing fantasy points here. So they're pretty good, or they're pretty bad against QBs, bad against wide receivers. And we did see Christian Kirk go nuts for 2 touchdowns earlier in there. So I think Christian Kirk touchdowns definitely in the play. Last week we saw Kirk, Zay, and Ingram and Marvin all catch touchdowns. The top 4 receivers all caught touchdowns for the Jags. So I wouldn't be surprised if they score. ETN maybe gets a rushing touchdown in this one as well. So I think with that score here of 22.25, Jags are pretty much guaranteed 2 touchdowns. If they get the third, that's going to be the difference. So top 2 Jags, I'm going to go with ETN and Christian Kirk. Let's move on to the passing props here. You have Mahomes at 2.5 touchdowns. People are taking the under, saying he's only going to get 2. That's very interesting to me. And then I'm on the team over side here for Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to get 2 no matter what, even if there's garbage time or something involved. We saw last week Jags got down big time and they still kept throwing. So I like Lawrence over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Passing yards, I think Patrick Mahomes to go over his number is fine. Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if I trust it. Let's see here. He went 259 and 2 in that game, but it took 40 passing attempts to do so. So you're probably going to need something similar in that one. So I'm open to the 242. This game should be filled with a lot of air, a lot of footballs in the air. Pass completions, not interested. Pass attempts. The passing attempts is kind of interesting. And then they're basically saying Trevor Lawrence is going to throw an interception. I can't argue with that one. Mahomes, they're saying under interception. So that's interesting there too. Let's look at the individual rushing and receiving props. They have Pacheco at 48.5. That does seem pretty nice, considering he ran for, 82 yards in the first matchup. That's 16 carries, almost 5 yards a pop. So for him to hit that, he only needs, 10 carries to hit that 48.5. So slightly interested in the Pacheco number there. I don't really trust McKinnon or Mahomes in the running game. Maybe ETN, but I think we're probably looking at a game where the Jags have to throw the ball. Receiving numbers: Christian Kirk 62.5, definitely in play. Evan Ingram's not a bad one either. I do like, let's see, Travis Kelce at 80. People are taking the over on the 80, so that one's intriguing. You have Zay Jones, 52.5. That one's definitely intriguing. I always like to look at the receptions first, though, because that kind of paints a picture for the yards. They're saying over on Juju, 4.5 over for Juju. People are taking the over on Kelce, 6.5 too, so that's interesting. Also taking the over on 4.5 for Zay Jones. The over for Travis Etienne. Kind of the under on McKinnon. That's interesting. And then people are taking the under on Christian Kirk at 5. So what does that say here? People like Zay Jones quite a bit and ETN. So Zay needs 52.5. I think that's very doable with 5 receptions. Travis Etienne, where are you? At 17.5. I'm interested in that over. That one could be kind of fun as well. But otherwise, nothing else really sticks out as for sure betting. I guess the Evan Ingram one, he has been playing really well, so he's kind of an interesting spot there. But otherwise, now that we've kind of covered all the rushing, receiving, and passing numbers, let's go ahead and tap that SGP button, and I'm going to kind of show you guys what I like to look for when I kind of whip these up. So you could just take the Chiefs money line here with the SGP. We're going to continue to add some things in here. Anytime touchdown score, I'm not sure if I'm interested in putting that on the SGP. But let's look at Jags total points. The Jags are probably going to score more than 13 points. I think that's a touchdown and 2 field goals. I'll give them that. So I'm going to put the 12.5 over on there. So that combines Chiefs money line and over 12.5. Now let's look at the Kansas City points. They have them at 21.5 here, so making them score 22. I think they can score 24 in this game, so I'm going to put the 23.5 in there. So we have over 23.5. Let's go ahead and look at. I really like these alternate passing yards because you can go low. I'm taking Mahomes over 270. And all of a sudden, we have 4 bets here, and we're looking at plus 115. I'll even take the Trevor. I'm going to take the Trevor Lawrence 200 plus as well. And all of a sudden, we have a 5 SGB move here. You put 20 on that, you're going to win $30. So just some fun things to look at. Look at at the top of the game here. You got to hit SGP, and then you can start to get some of these fun different lines here. So use those. You can do alternate lines for running and receiving players as well. But that's it. Jags Chief. I think I'm going to take the Jags spread. 9.5 now. I mean, I had it at 8.5 yesterday when I recorded this, but that's a lot. And the Chiefs only beat them by 10 points. When was that? November 13th. It was only a 10-point game. I think the Jags are hot and a lot different now. So I'm interested in the Jags covering on the road. I still think the Chiefs will win the money line. But that's it for that one. Let's move on to the Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe everyone's healthy. Let me just do my due diligence here and look at the practice reports. A couple guys questionable for Dallas, but nothing overly concerning. Let's look at the Eagles. A little bit lengthier. Avonte Maddox has been ruled out, but everybody else looking fairly well here. Nice to see Jalen Hurts not on the injury round here. So let's get into this. Giants at Philadelphia. Eagles picked to win by 7.5. 48 total implied in this one. I do want to look at Giants Eagles 2022. So they played December 11th here, and it wasn't close, 48-22. But they did play, was it the second to last game of the year? Let me see here. They played on January 8th. This probably was I think this was the last game of the year. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And the Eagles won by 6, but the Giants didn't really have much to play for in this one. You see Davis Webb got the play. Jalen Hurts, he didn't play very well, but A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert all played pretty well, and they did run for a touchdown here. So interesting game with Davis Webb at hand. They kept it tighter than Daniel Jones did back in the day. But anyways, let's see. Touchdown scorers, you probably got to consider Jalen Hurts for a rushing touchdown. A.J. Brown, yes. Miles Sanders and Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert. So you have 5 guys that could probably score for the Eagles at any time here. So it is a little bit difficult to me to predict these touchdown scores. I think I like the Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown in the playoffs, And then maybe you consider. I'll tell you what. One of my favorite things to do is you can say I think Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert. Whenever you see two teammates with plus odds, it's kind of a free bet. If one of these guys scores a touchdown, you're gonna win big. So say you put $10 on Devonta, it's gonna pay $25.50. So it's a net of 15. You can also put the same $10 bet on Goddard, and if he scores, it's gonna pay out $30.50. Either way, if one of these guys scores, you're going to profit at least $5. And if both score, that's where it gets really fun. So that's something that I like to do. You look for teammates with plus odds and you pair them up in separate bets. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, we know who the Eagles guys are. It's Hurts, it's Brown, it's Sanders, it's Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert. On the Giants side, it's really only Saquon Barkley that probably deserves to be bet on for a touchdown, whether it's rushing or through the air. And then Daniel Jones, man, he could be an interesting guy to rush for a touchdown. He did look really good against the Vikings last week. But otherwise, I think betting on touchdowns is probably not the best way to go in this one. Let's look at those passing props here. People are smashing the over on Jalen Hurts 1.5. I actually don't hate the Daniel Jones over in this one as well. He did throw for 2 touchdowns last weekend against the Vikings, and people are taking the under. Which is interesting. I do expect the Eagles to play with a lead in this one. So I think both QBs to throw over 1.5 could be in play here. Passing yards. I kind of like the Jalen Hurts line here. He didn't play he didn't play really well week 18, but again, that was his first game back. So I'm open to him, having some rest here and playing really well off of his bye week. But otherwise, let's see, interceptions. They have both guys not throwing an interception, which I think someone's throwing an interception in this game. So it might be Daniel Jones in this one. That one's a little interesting that both are getting hit with the under. And then the passing and rushing numbers are interesting here too. 265 for Daniel Jones. I kind of like that one. I think the 265 for Jones sticks out more than the Hurts one does. Let's look at the yeah, that's probably going to be boring games in the NFC, but you never know. I think if Hurts gets off to a fast start with that offense, maybe it opens things up for the Giants. But anyways, rushing numbers. I'm curious, what did Daniel Jones do against the Eagles in that game where they got trounced? Let's see. So you see, they lost 22-48, but Daniel Jones, he rushed for a touchdown. He had 26 yards rushing in that one, so he's a little bit high here at 44.5. People are taking the over on Jalen Hurts to hit 51.5. That's interesting. Sanders at 66.5, and then you have Barkley at 68.5. I kind of like the Barkley one. The Eagles are tough to run the ball on. They're one of the best defenses here, but if there is one position that you can score points against, it is the running back. So I don't mind Miles Sanders here. That's an interesting one. But let's look at the reception totals. They're giving Devonta Smith 5.5. People are taking the under. Interesting. People taking the under on AJ Brown, and people taking the slight over on Dallas Goedert. So they have all these guys basically at 5 receptions. Devonta Smith's been really hot the last couple months. I think Devonta Smith maybe over 5.5 is calling me. People are really hammering the under on AJ Brown too, so that's weird. Isaiah Hodgins has been on fire lately, but people like his under. We know that the Eagles cornerbacks are very, very good, and it looks like people are kind of expecting Daniel Bellinger to be the guy that helps move the ball in the middle of the field. So that's an interesting thought right there. Rich James, Hodgins, and Slayton have all been playing really, really well, but it looks like people are taking the under on them as they're scared about those Eagle cornerbacks. I wouldn't be surprised if Saquon's high at 4.5. That's going to be tough for him to get 5 receptions, but definitely watch for that. This Eagles defense is really good defending wide receivers. Wouldn't be surprised if Bellinger and the running backs got involved in this one. Let's look at the receiving yards. They have AJ Brown up here at 71.5. They have Devonta Smith down here at 64.5. Notice how there's no big movement one way or the other. This is all pretty much straight up here. So I'm kind of thinking Porsche 2-3's onto something here. This could be a boring game where there's not a lot of offense. Nobody's really got any lines that seem to be we can take advantage of. So kind of a bummer. People are taking the under on Hodgins. I don't know what my favorite thing to do here is. I think I might have to look. Let's hit the SGP button, same game parlay button, and I just want to see what some of the alternate odds are here. So I'm gonna slap the Eagles money line on this one just because I think they're gonna win the game. Giants will give them a scare. I'll put the Giants over 12.5 points. I think they'll get at least 13 points in this one, a touchdown and 2 field goals, if not. And then Eagles will put them over. I'll put them over 19 and a half. So I think they'll score 20 points. That's 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals minimum. And then let's look here. Jalen Hurts, alternate passing yards. He only needs 200 to hit that one. That one's kind of fun. That immediately puts us over at plus 120. So now we're looking good here. The Giants just need to score 13 points. The Eagles just need to score 20. And Eagles money line in a Jalen Hurts 200-yard passing game. That seems very, very doable. Daniel Jones alternate rushing yards, like he should hit 30. I think that's a pretty low number. I don't mind slapping that. And all of a sudden now we're at plus 180 here. Let me look at I want to look at the alternate Devonta Smith yards. For him to just hit 50, that could be kind of fun. So I really want you guys to experiment, especially if you guys have DraftKings. I'm sure there's other same game parlays on some of the other sites, but check out some of these alternate receiving lines, because if you start to parlay those with some of these other bets, that's where things get really, really fun. I mean, AJ Brown, for him to hit 60, that does seem pretty low, but I like the Devonta one at 50. Daniel Bellinger, the dude just needs 10 yards, and that's going to up us up here to a plus 320. I mean, if you put 20 on that, it's going to pay out almost a little over 4x. So that's a lot of fun. Look at the SGPs if you guys want to really have some fun and kind of do some different numbers than what's set for you to begin with. So that's the Giants and the Eagles. I'm leaning Eagles. We did take the Chiefs in the first one. We're going to take the Eagles in this one. And then we're going to move on to the Sunday games of the Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills. The game that we should have gotten a couple weeks ago, the Damar Hamlin game. Now it's in Buffalo. I don't think this game should be played in Buffalo personally. I think this game should be on a neutral site, because if Cincinnati won that game, they would have been the 2 seed or maybe even the 1 seed had the Chiefs lost. But I don't know if I like this game being played in Buffalo, but either way, I think you're going to see that this is probably the best game of the weekend when it comes down to like a play being made in the final minute or two of the fourth quarter. As it looks here, you have the Bengals, the Bills favored by 5.5 points. I want to see if this line moved on me. It was at 5 when I logged this yesterday. I think I saw 3.5 earlier too. But either way, Bills favored to win by 5.5 points, 48.5 total implied in this one. I'm probably taking the over on this one. We just saw Miami put up a ton of points against Buffalo last weekend. So I have a feeling this game probably going to be something like 30-27, something like that. That gets it up into the higher 50s. So I think this game does seem like each team's got 3 or 4 touchdowns in them. As far as touchdown scores, everybody's got plus odds, which is a lot of fun. Again, one of my favorite things to do is you take that Jamar Chase anytime touchdown, you take that T. Higgins anytime touchdown. All you need is one of these guys to score, and here you put the 10 on Chase, that's going to pay out 23. When you put the 10 on Higgins, that's going to pay out 30. So if you bet these each separately and Jamar Chase scores, you're going to win $3. If Higgins scores and Jamar Chase doesn't score, you're gonna win $10. But if both guys score, that's where you profit. So strongly recommend looking at those bets. And you can do the same thing for the Bills side. I mean, take your Stephon Diggs with a Dawson Knox who's been catching a lot of touchdowns. If one of these guys scores, you're going home with a little bit of money. Not a lot, actually. It looks like Stephon Diggs is just plus 100 here. So you get your money back if Diggs scores. If Knox scores, you can profit a little bit off that. So highly recommend looking at these bets, guys. But anyways, again, what does Vegas expect here? They expect Buffalo to put up almost 27 and Cincinnati about 22. So that's about 2 touchdowns guaranteed for Cincinnati, 3 for Buffalo. So the top 3 Buffalo scores are going to be Diggs, I think Dawson Knox, and then I kind of like Josh Allen to score a rushing touchdown in this one. He didn't last weekend, but I think he's due. And then on the Bengals side, again, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. Those are the top 3 guys. Maybe Tyler Boyd gets in there. But again, I think my favorite thing to do is probably take the Chase and the Higgins touchdown. And then We should probably take Joe Burrow. He's at 1.5. People are smashing the over on that one. I think both guys probably going over their touchdowns. That should be something that you like to make sure you take advantage of. I mean, even if it's minus 145, that's still going to pay out about 70% of what you bet on it. So it's not terrible. The passing yards, um, what's the Buffalo weather looking like? Buffalo weather on Sunday. It's going to be, let's see. Buffalo weather this weekend, snow showers in the evening. So this game, I think it's played at noon in Sunday. So nothing really to worry about the weather, but I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the passing yards. I think I'd rather take the touchdowns in this one. Interceptions, probably got to take the Josh Allen interception in this one. Joe Burrow wouldn't surprise me if he gets one too, but I for sure think the Josh Allen interception's in play. Let's look at those rushing and receiving props. I struggle to figure out what these teams want to do running the ball, but James Cook has been the dude lately for Buffalo. So if you want him, I don't mind that. Joe Mixon probably only needs about 12 carries or maybe 10 to 12 carries to hit that 46.5. Otherwise, let's look at the receptions. You have, let's see. I mean, people are hitting the over on Gabe Davis at 3.5. That's aggressive. The over on Samaje Perine, that's aggressive. The over on Joe Mixon, the under on T. Higgins at 5.5, the under on Diggs at 6.5, the under on Jamar Chase, and the under on Devin Singletary and Dawson Knox. So interesting. People are liking Gabe Davis, Joe Mixon, and Samaje Perine. Um, I don't have a strong feeling. I think 7.5 for Chase is a little high. So I kind of get the over or the under on that one. Diggs for him to hit 7 in a playoff game, that wouldn't surprise me. So I think that one's kind of out of whack. I don't mind the 6.5 here. Same for Higgins. I think Higgins could be in for a big game. He only needs 6 there. I'd rather take the over on Higgins 5.5 than, I mean, Chase at 7.5 compared to Higgins. I'll try the Higgins one. So those ones stick out to me. In terms of yards, they have T pretty low at 63.5. They have Diggs at 79.5. I think that one I should probably take. Let's see, Jamar Chase 83.5. Again, so I'm liking T 63. I'm liking Diggs 79.5. Dawson Knox 35.5. I'd rather take him to score a touchdown. I don't think he's going to get 4 receptions either, but I'd rather be interested in his touchdown bet. But nothing else really sticks out here. Again, I like Higgins. I like Diggs. Basically, these guys were liking Samaje Perine to get 2 receptions. So if he gets 2, he should be able to hit 10.5. But nothing else really stuck out in this one. Let's go cook up a same game parlay. See what we can dig up here. This one's tough because I don't have a strong feeling. Buffalo picked to win by 5.5 here. I think the Bengals cover the 5.5. I don't think they win by more than 1 score for sure. So I'm interested in the Bengals at 5.5. Touchdown scorer, I'll ignore that one. Let's look at total points. Sure, I'll take Buffalo over 19.5. I'll take Cincinnati over. We'll take Cincinnati over 16.5. So already just with those, like Bengals spread 5.5, Bills over 19.5, and the Bengals over 16.5. That puts us at 185, which is just ridiculous. Joe Burrow alternate yards, yeah, he's throwing for 230. I think Josh Allen also will throw for 230. Already we're at plus 300, guys. So if you guys want a triple up, that's pretty cool. That's not a bad one to go. So I might put that one on the website. I do like that one. Again, Bengals to cover the spread at 5.5, Bills over 19.5, Bengals over 16.5. Burrow and Allen both to throw over 230. And like we didn't even get into some of these receiving numbers here, but take advantage of these alternate lines, guys. I love the same game parlay feature. What's Higgins at? Higgins at 50. Come on. Diggs at 65. I'll take that all day. So use that up. I'm not sure which way I'm leaning in here, guys. I think Cincinnati can win this. Josh Allen has been turning the ball over more than we're accustomed to of late. It seems like he's kind of reverted back to some of his old ways. But I think Buffalo is going to win. But Cincinnati is going to make this close. I like the Cincinnati spread cover. But otherwise, let's move on to the Cowboys and the 49ers. And there's Porsche 23 with his Go Cowboys. What do we think of this one? 49ers picked to win by 4, 46 implied in this one. This one grew a little bit here. It was 3.5 when I logged it yesterday. Low total of only 46 points to be had. Anytime touchdown scores, it's Christian McCaffrey for San Francisco, and it's probably Tony Pollard for the Cowboys. Zeke does not look like himself. Me and my friends were joking that he's going to be kind of listed. He's going to be like a fullback going forward if he sticks with the Cowboys. So Pollard is the man. I think you take the two running guys, but keep an eye on CD Lamb. He didn't have a great game last week. He's an option here to cash it. I want to see his numbers from last weekend again. So he went 4 for 68 and a touchdown. Okay, so it was a quiet game, only 6 targets. They didn't really have to throw much in the second half, but he has caught touchdowns in the last couple of games. So keep an eye on CeeDee Lamb there. But otherwise, to stick with the running back, CMC, Tony Pollard. The other guy, too, that's been scoring touchdowns lately has been Brock Purdy, rushing touchdowns. I like Purdy over his 1.5. The dude's been slinging more than one touchdown for multiple games now. I suppose the Dak Prescott one's interesting, but they just run the ball too much. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes under in this one. So I don't have a strong feeling here. I do like Purdy to throw over 1.5. Passing yards, again, this is one of the best defenses here, the 49ers. They do allow wide receiver points here, so I like CeeDee Lamb, but overall, I'm not super excited to bet on these guys. I think you got to take the Dak Prescott interception, and then let's get out of the quarterback situation. Let's go to the running backs. That's pretty low for Christian McCaffrey. We saw him pop off a big run last week that got him well over his yardage mark. Tony Pollard pretty low at 46.5. Not interested in it's officially happening, guys. The Tony Pollard shift as the lead running back is very real. Now let's look at the receptions. You have McCaffrey at 4.5. People taking the under on McCaffrey here. That's interesting. I kind of like the over, especially in a playoff game here against the Cowboys. I like the CeeDee Lamb over 5.5. George Kittle probably hitting his. A lot of people like that, though, so -160 is kind of tough. I really like Brandon Ayuk. I'm not a big fan of Debo. I wouldn't maybe put it past him to hit his yards, but Brandon Ayuk's been the best receiver on this team this season. So we're going to go with Lamb over, Ayuk over, McCaffrey, and Kittle to hit 4, I think feels pretty good. People also like Tony Pollard at 2.5, so that one sticks out to me. Let's look at those receiving yards. Debo only needs 54.5. I think we'll look at his alternates in the same game parlay feature. CeeDee Lamb only needs 78.5. I think that could be a hot spot for him. People are taking the Dalton Schultz over 41.5, and that's about it. There's really not a lot of line movements. People are hammering the under on Zeke 5.5. Like he's officially kind of getting swallowed up by the age monster. But either way, Kittle's sitting here at 46.5. None of these lines stick out. I think, again, my guy Porsche kind of hit it on the head. Boring games in the NFC. I think this could be defensive football this weekend here. So I'm going to kind of stay away from some of these bets this game. I think where I want to be is let's go look at that SGP button. And this one, I'll take 49ers money line. I know it's Brock Purdy that we're betting on, but the 49ers have just been so damn good lately. In terms of Dallas Cowboys total points, for them to score 13, I think I'll put them at 13 as a low. And then the 49ers, they're going to put up at least 17 points. So again, I like that. And then let's go down here to what are those Debo alternate rush yards? 10 rushing yards. Is there Debo alternate receiving yards? He only needs 40. That one doesn't bother me as much. I do like Brandon Ayuk a lot too. He only needs 40. What were these passing numbers though? Dak Prescott, where are they? Purdy needs 200. I think he'll hit 200 in this one, so that seems pretty low. And the alternate here for Dak is another 200. That's heavy. I kind of like this one. Let me remove the Debo. If you take the 49ers money line, Cowboys over 12.5, 49ers over 16.5, and both QBs to throw for 200, you're sitting at 190. That's almost a double up. I don't hate that. That's kind of almost actually a triple up. if you will. So that one's kind of fun. I don't mind that one. But either way, I don't have a strong feeling on this game. I don't expect. I don't expect the Cowboys to just do whatever they want on offense. 49ers defense is so good. I'm going to lean with San Francisco in this one. Um, I'm probably gonna end up just taking the money line here. But it's not gonna I'm not gonna be surprised if the 49ers just dominate this game and they easily cover by one or two scores here. So I'm thinking the 49ers protect the spread. A lot of people are taking the Cowboys though at 4.5. Interesting. We'll see about that. But that's it. That is the divisional round preview here. We went through and looked at all the DraftKings Sportsbook information. I'll be back probably next Thursday to go over the AFC and the NFC championship game. So hang out with us then. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Check out thefantasyfellowship.com. Tonight's Thursday night. Friday, I'm gonna probably start locking in some of the player props. So if you want to check those out, please do then. I'll probably list 5 or 6 bets for the weekend. So that's it. Enjoy the football. We'll see you guys on the other side. Peace.